Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are strapping in for a really fantastic journey into a single pivotal narrative from Norse mythology. This is, I think, the ultimate origin story. We're going to uncover how the greatest defensive and offensive treasures of Asgard, we're talking the hammer, Mjolnir, Odin, spear, Gungnir, all of it, how they all came into existence.
And the only reason we have these incredible foundational pieces of divine power is purely thanks to a very, very bad day for the trickster god Loki.
A very bad day that he brought entirely on himself.
Oh, entirely. Our source material details these incredibly high-stakes consequences of what was, at its heart, a disastrous drunken prank involving a beautiful goddess and, well, a pair of shears.
That's the mission today, to take this incredible action-packed story, which is basically the mythological blueprint for the Aesir god's entire arsenal, and just unpack every single item.
It's a moment of sabotage.
Every terrifying threat that forced this whole arms race. This story is just pure high-stakes cause and cosmic overreaction.
It truly is. And as you dive into this world, you realize the central dynamic driving all these major events. It's always Thor, his beautiful wife Sif, and the ever-present, ever-troublesome Loki.
Yeah.
The core conflict almost doesn't need a preamble, you know?
No, it really doesn't. And, our source material captures that fundamental relationship so perfectly. When anything goes wrong in Asgard, the first thing anyone thinks is...
It is Loki's fault.
Exactly. It is Loki's fault. He saves everyone a lot of time.
A very efficient problem-solving heuristic for the gods.
And in this particular instance, that presumption was 100% correct.
Yeah.
We're dealing with a trickster whose boredom and intoxication combine to trigger what is essentially an existential crisis for the gods.
And that's the key, right? Loki's pranks here, they aren't driven by some grand cosmological scheme, not yet anyway.
Yeah.
They're driven by petty irritation, jealousy, or, simply the desire to watch things burn.
Often after drinking way, way too much mead.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this sequence. We absolutely have to start with Sif's beauty and her defining feature, because that's what elevates this whole crime from, a mere nuisance to an act of profound social warfare.
Right. Sif is one of the most radiant goddesses in all the 9 realms. The sources describe her using all the classical markers of beauty. She has blue eyes like the summer sky, pale skin, red lips.
And a smile that even the super stoic Thor completely adores.
Completely. But her true glory was her hair. It was famously long, long hair. And the description is just beautiful. It's the color of a field of barley at the end of summer.
So you're thinking this incredibly rich, flowing, sun-drenched gold.
Yes, and it reached down past her waist. It was her crowning glory, literally and metaphorically.
And so the sheer sudden trauma of the incident must have just been immense. Thor wakes up one morning and finds her completely, devastatingly bald.
The source makes the horror of that moment really palpable. She reaches up, she touches her bare pink scalp, and is just instantly overwhelmed by shock and humiliation.
And crucially, this wasn't just like a hack job with some scissors. Loki took the hair from the roots.
Yes.
Wait, I want to dwell on that detail for a moment.
Yes.
Why is from the roots so critical? Isn't it just a matter of waiting for it to, grow back?
No, and that's the devastating critical point. If the hair is taken from the roots in this magical, mythological context, it's not just a bad haircut. It's irreversible damage.
Oh, wow.
This is a permanent disfigurement. Loki inflicted a lifelong, visible mark of shame on the wife of the chief protector of Asgard. If this is a permanent state, then Sif is destined to live forever in perpetual disgrace.
Which brings us to Thor's reaction. He doesn't knock.
No.
He goes straight to Loki's hall. And he doesn't even bother with the door. He just smashes it down. And Loki, when he's confronted by this physical manifestation of divine rage, gives a truly pathetic explanation.
He does. He tries every evasion known to a trickster, cunning, shiftiness. He feigns confusion, but he finally just collapses under the weight of Thor's glare.
And his motive.
It was funny. I was drunk.
It was funny. I was drunk.
That is the pure, distilled essence of Loki. It's chaos for its own sake. A devastating act committed out of sheer bored spite.
But the societal implication is where Thor's anger goes from, like, a domestic rage to a cosmological threat. Our audience should realize that this isn't just about superficial beauty at all.
Exactly. This is maybe the most important piece of context here. Thor is furious, not just because Sif lost her looks, but because of the widespread, immediate social interpretation of a shaved head in that culture.
Right.
Historically and mythologically, having a woman's head shaved against her will was a punishment. It was a mark of public humiliation, and it was most commonly reserved for those found guilty of infidelity or treason or other serious moral crimes.
So when Sif walks out bald, the community of Asgard doesn't think, oh, Loki was here again. They think
Thor has punished his wife for a grievous offense.
Oh, man.
Precisely. Loki didn't just inflict a physical injury, he threatened Sif's entire reputation, suggesting she was dishonored or disciplined by her husband. And this slander, it damages Thor's honor as well.
Of course. It implies his judgment is flawed, or he can't control his own house.
Exactly. This isn't just a marital dispute. It's a public crisis of confidence in the ruling gods. And that's why Thor's response is so immediate and operating at maximum capacity.
And that's why he reaches for the belt. Let's spend a moment detailing the belt, Megan Jordan. This isn't just a fancy accessory. This is the sign that Thor is way beyond furious.
Oh, way beyond. Megingjord is Thor's belt of power. When he straps it on, his already enormous, unmatched physical strength is instantly doubled. So if normal Thor is terrifying, Megingjord Thor is a primal force of reckoning. He is not seeking reconciliation here. He is seeking vengeance.
He just scoops Loki up like a doll, holds him high above his head, and the description of Thor is just chilling. A face like thunder, ready to execute a sentence right then and there.
And the threat he issues is beautiful in its terrifying specificity and its sheer, calculated cruelty.
That's incredible.
It is. It's the kind of dark humor you only find in ancient mythology. He doesn't just vaguely threaten death, he lays out a precise, repeated agenda of torture. The ultimatum is, I am going to break every single bone in your body, each and every one of them.
And then the terrible rider.
And if her hair does not grow properly, I will come back and break every bone in your body again and again.
I love that he gets cheerful about the efficiency. He actually stops his raging long enough to happily muse that he could probably get the entire bone-breaking process down to about 15 minutes with practice.
That detail is so critical for you because it shows Thor isn't just venting. He is coldly contemplating an endless, efficient cycle of pain.
This is non-negotiable.
Not at all. And Loki instantly understands that Thor is not bluffing. Thor is actually looking forward to this new hobby.
So Loki, absolutely terrified by the prospect of becoming Thor's 15-minute anatomical study, screams the only word that offers immediate salvation.
Dwarfs. He knows that only the most ingenious craftsmen of Svartalfheim, the Dark Elves, or dwarfs, as they're often translated, have the skill and the magical knowledge to fix something so fundamental and so permanent.
And what must they create? It's not just a golden wig, right? It has to be something magically living.
Yes. Loki needs to commission golden hair for Sif, hair that would bond with her scalp and grow normally. Perfect golden hair. It has to integrate completely. It has to restore her honor and make the entire problem just disappear.
The moment Thor drops him onto the floor, bruised but still, capable of using his feet, Loki is just rushing off to the realms of the subterranean smiths.
He has to. He realizes that his immediate survival depends entirely on transforming this crisis into a competition.
Okay, so Loki straps on his magical travel shoes and just hurtles towards Svartalfheim. This is a realm known for its deep caverns and its brilliant but very secretive smiths.
And this is a desperate mission. Loki knows he has to succeed in commissioning something truly extraordinary to save his own life.
But he's Loki, so he knows that just commissioning one piece of magic probably isn't enough.
Right, to guarantee the highest quality and to prevent Thor from deciding to just, break a few bones for fun anyway, he has to incite the dwarfs' vanity, their professional pride. He has to turn this into a contest that involves the highest gods as judges.
So his first stop is the workshop of the Sons of Ivaldi, who are already famous throughout the 9 realms. And he immediately sets his manipulative strategy into motion. It's just a masterclass in exploiting ego.
It is pure psychological warfare. He walks into their forge, and you have to imagine this place a hive of intense heat, noise, meticulous work. And he starts with what appears to be a backhanded compliment.
Or really just a casual piece of devastating slander.
Exactly. He tells the Sons of Ivaldi that he's been talking to other dwarfs, and they've all told him that their rivals, Brock and his brother Eitri, are the greatest craftsmen there are.
And the Sons of Ivaldi react exactly as Loki predicted. I mean, dwarf pride is legendary, right? Yeah. Being told that a competitor is superior is it's an immediate challenge to the death for them.
They are instantly enraged. They angrily dismiss Brock and Eitri as fumble-fingered incompetence.
Love that phrase.
And they claim absolute, undeniable superiority in every aspect of forging and enchantment. And Loki, feigning sympathy, then pretends to pass along a challenge.
He just lies outright. He tells them, I hear that they have challenged you. The terms are 3 treasures each, and the gods of the Aesir will judge which team created the best items.
And he so cleverly slides Sif's hair in as one of the 3 required items.
Of course.
The Ivaldi sons, just swelling with rage and professional arrogance, take the bait, hook, line, and sinker. They agree instantly. They are confident that they will humiliate their rivals and cement their status as the unchallenged masters of the 9 realms.
And they set off to work immediately on their 3 masterpieces.
Yep. So Loki, pleased with his success, then heads across the mountain to find the rival forge of Brock and Eitri.
We should probably note the dynamic between these two. Brock is the smarter, more determined brother, the one who handles the negotiations and the physical demands of the forge.
Right. While Eitri is the true visionary, the master craftsman.
So Loki attempts the exact same manipulation, telling them the Ivaldi sons are boasting and calling them amateurs. But Brock, as you pointed out, he's no fool. He is much sharper than the Ivaldi sons.
Much sharper. Brock immediately suspects the truth. He says something brilliant. He says, "This smells extremely fishy to me."
He calls him out.
Stirring up trouble between Eitri and me and Ivaldi's boys seems like the sort of thing you'd do, Loki.
He sees right through it.
He recognizes Loki as the catalyst of chaos, not some innocent messenger. However, Brock is equally proud of Eitri's skill. He agrees to the test, not because Loki tricked him into believing the Ivaldi sons issued the challenge,
but because he trusts Eitri's genius.
Exactly. And he believes they deserve the recognition. So the contest is accepted purely on grounds of professional honor.
But Brock raises the stakes dramatically. He knows Loki is only motivated by fear and self-preservation, so he demands a wager that makes the contest intensely personal for the trickster.
The ultimate wager. Loki's head.
His head.
Brock says, "If Eitri and I win, we get your head." And this transforms the contest from a simple showcase of skill into a mortal struggle for Loki.
And Loki, despite, inwardly scowling and realizing he can't just rely on the Ivaldi sons' excellence anymore, he agrees to the terms instantly.
He's a gambler. And he's confident he can ruin Brock and Eitri's output just enough to ensure the Ivaldi gifts are judged superior.
And Brock, maybe showing a little bit of that dwarf dark humor, outlines his intended use for the severed head.
A thinking machine, perhaps? Or an inkwell?
An inkwell.
The ultimate insult. It's not just taking the head, but planning to desecrate the source of Loki's cunning and his words by turning it into a mundane office supply.
Loki is now supremely motivated to sabotage. So this brings us to the most dramatic section of the story, this high-pressure 3-act play of forging. Loki knows the sons of Ivaldi are across the mountain, working in secrecy, but he doesn't need to worry about them.
No, their work will be excellent. His focus must be entirely on disrupting Brock and Eitri's hyper-precise process.
And that process, the deep focus here, must be on consistency.
Exactly. Eitri's magical forging is not like standard smithing. It requires perfect, consistent, unwavering heat and airflow for the enchantments to set correctly.
And Brock's job is to pump the bellows, a relentless, demanding, and monotonous task requiring superhuman endurance and concentration.
Absolutely superhuman.
Okay, let's detail the first session. The foundation is laid for what will become Frey's golden boar. Eitri takes a pigskin, puts it into the forge, and instructs Brock on the necessary tempo.
And then he leaves, warning that any fluctuation, any at all, will ruin the magic.
And this is Loki's cue. He transforms into a large black insect, a massive malevolent pest, bigger and more vicious than any horsefly or deerfly, and he launches his first attack.
He lands directly on Brock's hand, and Brock is just focused entirely on the pace, maintaining that perfect rhythmic consistency. The fly bites him hard.
And we have to pause here to acknowledge Brock's resolve. I mean, imagine the intense heat of the forge, the physical strain of pumping those bellows, and then a massive magical insect biting through your skin.
But Brock does not stop. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't swat. He doesn't miss a single beat on the bellows. His determination is just total.
Incredible. So Eitri returns, having counted the precise duration of the process. He opens the forge, and he successfully removes a massive boar with gleaming gold bristles.
This is going bursty.
And Eitri is ecstatic. He confirms the success, but he also reinforces the high stakes. He says that the heat was perfect, consistent to the end.
A fraction of a degree warmer or cooler, he says, and the whole thing would have been a waste.
So Loki, who's reverted to his normal form and is just seething in the shadows, realizes that subtle pain is not going to defeat this dwarf's willpower. He has to escalate the sabotage.
Much more direct.
Time for the second session, which is dedicated to crafting Odin's multiplying ring. Eitri uses a block of gold for the core material, and he issues a much sterner warning this time.
He calls this fiddly work, demanding even greater consistency. Brock must not slow down, speed up, or stop for any reason whatsoever.
So Loki ups the ante significantly. The fly lands on Brock's neck.
And it's important to note the environment here. The heat is overwhelming, and sweat is just running down Brock's back and neck. The fly lands and bites as hard as it could, drawing scarlet blood that mixes immediately with the sweat.
This is a way worse location. It's much harder to ignore than the hand, especially in that relentless heat. The pain must have been absolutely searing.
But again, Brock holds true. He is a machine of pure resolve. He doesn't move. He maintains the perfect rhythm that's required for the enchantment.
And Eitri returns? And once again, the operation is a complete success.
He removes a white-hot arm ring, this is Draupnir from the forge, and quenches it. A magnificent piece of engineering and magic.
And the property of Draupnir is just incredible. It's an economic miracle.
It is. Eitri explains that every 9th night, 8 new, equally beautiful gold arm rings will drip from it. This ensures infinite compounding wealth for Odin.
So that's 2 flawless masterpieces for Brock and Eitri. Loki is now truly desperate.
He's failed twice, and the dwarf is utterly unyielding. He knows the next piece is Eitri's true masterwork, and if it succeeds, Loki loses his head.
Subtlety is officially abandoned.
Oh, yeah.
Now comes the forging of Mjolnir, the hammer. Eitri announces this is his greatest ambition, the most difficult forging of all. It requires the highest, most consistent temperature possible. He places an ingot of pig iron into the forge.
And Loki knows this must fail.
He has to make it fail.
So he transitions from simple pain to a full-on sensory attack. The fly lands directly between Brock's eyes, where the dwarf cannot possibly reach it while pumping.
And it begins savagely biting the dwarf's eyelids, causing blood to run down, instantly blinding Brock.
This is the critical juncture. The blindness, the pain, the blood streaming into his eyes, it's overwhelming. Brock tries desperately to shake his head and blow the fly away, but the biting is just relentless.
But in that moment of absolute crisis, fighting blindness and intense agony, Brock still manages to count the necessary downstrokes for the process.
Incredible focus.
But he has to react. He momentarily whips one hand from the bellows to swipe at the fly, barely missing Loki. He instantly grabs the bellows again, trying to restore the tempo.
But that moment, that briefest of interruptions, that single disruption in the perfect airflow and temperature consistency.
It seals the fate of the masterpiece.
It does. When Eitri returns, he sees Brock bleeding, weeping blood, and clearly in extreme distress, but still pumping the bellows.
And Eitri is immediately disappointed.
He says that the temperature was all over the place at the end. He pulls the object out, but it's flawed. The result is nowhere near as impressive as I'd hoped.
So Loki, knowing he succeeded in creating a flaw but failed to ruin the object entirely, escapes to prepare for the judging.
That is just such a fascinating detail, isn't it? That the greatest weapon in the 9 realms has a flaw. The short handle caused directly by a brief moment of distraction when a massive fly bit a dwarf's eyelids.
The ultimate irony.
And you have to remember the context. This wasn't a failure of craftsmanship on Eitri's part. It was a necessary sacrifice of design integrity for the sake of completion. Brock chose momentary sight restoration over continuous bellows pumping. That is the definition of a critical flaw created under duress.
So the stage is set for the judgment. We've got the 3 most powerful gods as the arbiters. Odin, the All-Father, focused on power and law.
Thor, the god of defense and thunder, focused on utility.
And Frey, the handsome god of summer's harvest and fertility, focused more on nature and travel.
And Loki standing there outwardly confident, but inwardly terrified for his head.
As he should be. He presents the sons of Ivaldi's gifts first. And these are the flawless, perfectly crafted items. He presents them with his characteristic verbal flair, highlighting the utility for each specific god.
First up is the spear, Gungnir, presented to Odin. Loki sells it hard, noting it's beautifully carved with intricate runes.
And the spear has 3 properties. The first 2 are sort of standard for a great weapon, right?
Right. Property 1, it'll penetrate anything. Property 2, it will always find its mark when thrown. And Loki wisely highlights this feature for Odin, who is one-eyed and sometimes has less than perfect aim.
A beautifully crafted dig at the All-Father.
It is. But the third property is the most profound, and this is where we really need to focus the analysis. The spear is not just a weapon, it is a sacred legal artifact.
Any oath taken upon Gungnir is unbreakable.
Yes, and this is crucial for Odin. Odin is the god of war, but he's also the god of wisdom, strategy, and cosmic law, an object that can bind gods and mortals to unbreakable vows. It stabilizes the entire mythological framework.
It's an artifact of cosmic order.
Exactly. Odin is suitably impressed. He says, "It is very fine," which is a high compliment from the usually reserved All-Father.
Next up, the centerpiece of this entire quest, Sif's new hair. Loki presents this flowing head of hair made of real gold, 100,000 strands, and explains that it will attach to her scalp, bond, and grow exactly like real hair, restoring her honor and her beauty.
Thor calls Sif forward. The gods gasp when she removes her headscarf, revealing her bald scalp, and the transformation is immediate and perfect. The golden hair bonds instantly, flowing down her back.
And the source notes that Sif becomes even more radiant and beautiful than before.
So the initial crisis is averted, and Thor is satisfied. "Impressive. Good job," he rumbles.
Okay, so far so good for Loki. The third gift from the Ivaldi sons goes to Frey. Skidbladnir, the ship. Loki presents it initially as just a small piece of folded cloth. Very unimpressive to the eye.
But then Loki reveals its magical, impossible properties. When unfolded, it becomes a gigantic ship, large enough to carry all the gods and their horses.
And it always has a fair wind wherever it sails, meaning it moves independently of any natural weather patterns.
And the miracle of engineering. It can fold back up like a simple cloth and fit into a pouch.
A ship that fits in your pocket. Why is this perfect for Frey, though? He's the god of harvest and fertility, not primarily sailing.
Well, Frey is also associated with safe sea travel, but more importantly, he often travels to secure the bounty of the earth. So instant transport, regardless of conditions, is invaluable for the god who ensures the success of the growing season.
Right. The ability to deploy a massive vessel instantly and then stow it away is the ultimate in magical convenience.
Frey is clearly impressed, and Loki is riding high. He's presented 3 flawless, incredibly useful gifts.
Now comes Brock. He's looking bruised, his eyelids are still red and swollen from the fly attack.
But he steps up to present Eitri's 3 treasures with intense pride, despite his physical condition.
He starts with Draupnir, the arm ring, for Odin, and Brock reiterates the property that secures its position as a treasure.
Every 9th night, 8 new gold arm rings of equal beauty drip from it.
So this is perpetual, self-replicating wealth. In a world where resources and tribute are central to power dynamics, this is a phenomenal asset. Odin places it on his bicep and once again says,
"It is very fine."
Okay, so he's got 2 very fine items now.
He does. Next is Gullinbursti, the golden bristled one, presented to Frey. This is a huge, magnificent boar with golden bristles, and it's designed to compete directly with Frey's folding ship.
And the boar will pull Frey's chariot, racing faster than the fastest horse across the sky, over the sea and through the air.
And its golden bristles emit light in the darkest night, ensuring safety and visibility. And it never tires.
The raw, unstoppable power of that contrasts beautifully with the magical convenience of the ship.
Exactly. Loki starts to worry. The contest is now incredibly close. Both teams have produced items of astronomical worth and power for the gods, but the final gift is the deciding factor.
The moment of truth. Brock places Mjolnir, the lightning maker, in front of Thor. And Brock, displaying his humility and his honesty, immediately points out the design flaw before he even lists its powers.
He admits the handle is rather short, attributing it to his failure on the bellows, that moment of the flybite.
The direct physical evidence of Loki's successful sabotage.
Right there for everyone to see.
But Thor, just eager to hold it, is already dismissing the aesthetic problem. He's asking for the functionality.
And Brock reveals the hammer's 4 key features, and they are overwhelming in their utility for the chief protector of Asgard.
First, Mjolnir is completely unbreakable no matter what it strikes.
Second, if you throw it, it will never miss the target, ensuring perfect hits every time.
Third, and this is the property Thor is happiest about, it will always return to the thrower's hand.
And considering Thor is famously clumsy and has lost weapons before, the inability to lose Mjolnir is a massive win.
Huge. And fourth, it can change size. It can grow to a colossal size for battle or shrink down small enough to be easily hidden inside a shirt or worn on a belt.
An adaptable, portable, ultimate defensive weapon.
And Thor's reaction is everything. He claps his hands together in pure delight, and the force of that clap sends thunder echoing across Asgard. He is ecstatic. This weapon is everything he needs to fulfill his mandate.
And the judgment is swift. Thor immediately dismisses the short handle as a minor cosmetic problem.
He doesn't care at all.
He declares Mjolnir the finest gift I have ever seen, specifically because it is the ultimate defense against the frost giants, their greatest existential threat.
And once Thor speaks, the other judges just fall in line.
Odin declares the hammer superior to his own new spear and his endlessly producing ring. And Frey, the god of peace, admits the hammer is greater than his ship and his boar, stating simply, "It will keep the gods of Asgard safe."
The conclusion is undeniable. Mjolnir is the finest treasure. Eitri and Brock win the contest.
Confirming their superior craftsmanship and overcoming Loki's desperate sabotage.
Brock, his eyes still stinging but his heart just soaring, turns to a visibly deflated Loki and gleefully demands his prize.
I get to cut off your head.
He is absolutely determined to follow through on turning it into an inkwell.
He really is. And Loki, ever the quick-thinking pragmatist, immediately tries to negotiate. He attempts to ransom his head with promises of other treasures, gems, gold, magical items.
But Brock isn't interested in riches. He replies, quite simply, that he and Eitri already make treasures.
He wants the head.
Seeing negotiation fail, Loki's final play is flight. He shouts, "Then you can have it if you can catch me," and just leaps high into the air, relying on his legendary speed and agility to escape.
But Brock, of course, can't catch him. So he looks to the newly triumphant Thor and asks for assistance.
And Thor's response perfectly captures the dark, fun-loving nature of the Aesir gods. He just shrugs, saying, "I really shouldn't interfere."
Yay!
But then, with a massive grin, he admits he would very much like to try out the hammer.
Of course he would.
And Mjolnir gets its first immediate practical test. Thor throws the hammer, and he returns almost instantly, holding it tightly bound, glaring with impotent fury.
The hammer works perfectly. Retrieves its target, returns to the thrower's hand. Test complete.
So Brock prepares his knife. This should be the final moment. But Loki has one more trick left. It's not a magical trick, but a legal maneuver based on the most pedantic, specific language.
As Brock raises the knife, Loki appeals to Odin, the supreme judge and the god of contracts and law. He states clearly, "If you cut off any of my neck, you are violating the terms of our agreement,
which promised you my head, and my head only."
It's a classic trickster move. It forces the gods to adhere to the strict letter of the law, even if it violates the spirit. A verbal contract was made for the head.
And since it is anatomically impossible to sever the head without cutting the neck, and the neck was not explicitly included in the contract,
Loki wins by exploiting the loophole.
And Odin, the keeper of cosmic law, has to concede the point, despite his annoyance.
Loki is right. You have no right to cut his neck. It's a testament to the importance of literal contracts, even among the gods.
Brock is utterly furious. He was denied his vengeance not by magic, but by semantics.
Right. But Brock is also cunning. He pauses, whispers a suggestion to Odin, which Odin immediately agrees is fair, and he prepares an alternative, equally humiliating punishment.
And Loki, confident that he's protected by the loophole, and, as he boasts, wisely arranged for protection from knife blades, starts gloating again.
Brock just ignores the boasting. He produces a strip of tough leather and an awl-appointed spike used in leatherwork.
An awl.
He tries his knife on the leather wrapped around Loki's mouth, just to confirm Loki's protection against blades. But the awl is not a knife.
Brock is smarter than the enchantment. An awl is a piercing tool, not a cutting tool.
So Brock uses the spike to punch holes directly through Loki's lips, and then, using a strong reinforced thread, he sews Loki's mouth shut.
That is the ultimate fitting humiliation for the master of words and lies. He is silenced.
The physical pain would have been intense, but the source notes that for Loki, the pain of being unable to talk and complain hurt even more than the physical pain of having his lips stitched up.
A silence that, thankfully for the gods, lasts a good long while. That stitched mouth is the final implication of this entire frantic episode. And we now have the paradox of Loki perfectly crystallized.
And that paradox is the real takeaway for you. The gods acquire their 6 greatest treasures, the very foundations of their power, their wealth, and their defense, because of a petty, malicious prank by the trickster god.
They hate him for it.
The trickster is resented even when the gods are most grateful, and they are grateful even when they treat him the most. Chaos is, in a way, generative because it forces innovation under pressure.
What an incredible depth of history and irony contained in one high-stakes myth. Let's briefly recap the full inventory of the 6 world-defining treasures we learned about today.
Okay. First, from the sons of Ivaldi, the flawless pieces. We had Gungnir, Odin's spear, which always finds its mark and binds all who swear oaths upon it.
Then Sif's hair, the magical golden hair that bonded and grew, restoring her honor and beauty.
And Skidbladnir, Frey's marvelous ship that always finds a fair wind and can fold up to fit into a pouch.
And from Eitri and Brock, the winning team, who crafted items of profound utility and power.
We have Draupnir, Odin's ring that drips 8 new rings every 9th night, creating compounding, unending wealth.
Gullinbursti, Frey's golden boar that runs faster than any horse and illuminates the darkest night.
And of course Mjolnir, Thor's lightning maker, which is unbreakable, always returns, never misses, and can change size.
And we can't forget the signature detail. The most powerful defensive weapon in all of Norse mythology. The hammer that protects Asgard has a critical design flaw.
A short handle, caused directly by Loki transforming into a fly and biting a dwarf's eyelids.
So, we know the short handle was caused by that brief temperature fluctuation. Here's a final provocative thought for you to take away and mull over. We talk about how Thor dismissed the short handle as just cosmetic. But could Loki's sabotage have actually had a positive outcome, or at least a necessary one?
That's a great question. Think about the immense cosmic power Mjolnir holds. If Eitri had finished the forging perfectly, creating a hammer with a full-length two-handed handle, would the sheer untrammeled power have been too much for Thor?
Right. Maybe the longer handle would have required even more strength to lift, or maybe that moment of sabotage inadvertently installed a kind of governor on Mjolnir's power.
Did the flaw, the short handle, actually make the weapon usable? Or did Loki simply prevent it from reaching its full, utterly destructive, world-breaking potential?
Was the necessary imperfection what made Mjolnir the perfect defense? Something for you to chew on as you reflect on this deep dive into the origins of Asgard's greatest gear.
Until next time.